Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, huge news today out of the state of Nebraska. RINO senator, a member of the Impeachment Seven, one of the 7 senators to impeach Donald Trump for something that he didn't do that happened to, claim to call themselves Republicans. He is going to resign from the Senate in December to become the president at the University of Florida, where he is likely to start there in February. Now, personally, I don't exactly care what goes on at the University of Florida, but at least Ben Sasse will no longer be in the United States Senate, and he could be replaced with a more authentic conservative, which would absolutely be huge news, because we know that Ben Sasse is one of the largest shills for Ukraine and amnesty in the Senate. He is an ardent never-Trumper, has been a never-Trumper from day one, and really was throughout all of Trump's presidency up until the very end, and then he decided to impeach him on the way out for something that he didn't do, just so he could steer the GOP back into the days of old, because he prefers that old status quo. Ben Sasse is a dinosaur, he is a rhino, and now he is out of a job, at least in the United States Senate. So that is a very, very good development there that we're going to look into and analyze a little bit more in this video. But first, I have to tell you guys about my very good friends over at Noble Gold. Silver demand will exceed supply again this year. 32,000 tons of silver will be produced against 34,000 tons of demand. Mining.com, an online-only news site covering the global mining and metals industry, sourced the data. This proves what Noble Gold Investments has long warned the market about. The American transition to renewable energy will put pressure on silver production, which is, again, silver is used in solar cells, industrial fabrication, and the automobile industry. There will be a future increase in the demand in the field of nanotechnology, the food industry, and printed and flexible electronics. Demand will increase by 54% by 2030. There's no better time to invest with Noble Gold Investments than right now. They'll walk you through the entire process, and it'll take you no more than 5 minutes to open a gold or silver IRA. And this month, you'll get an incredible free 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin with a qualified IRA of $20,000 or higher. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments. Call the team now at 877-646-5347 to find out more, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. So Ben Sasse, he's leaving. He is leaving the United States Senate, which will allow him to be replaced with an actual conservative, one that's not going to go out there and virtue signal to CNN every 5 minutes or throw a temper tantrum about something that Donald Trump has done. And again, he is one of those impeachment senators, one of the 7 Republicans to impeach in the Senate, which is surprising. Again, the Senate has always been a little bit more establishment than the House. We know this. And there were only 10 impeachment Republicans in the House. We're cleaning house, no pun intended. And we really have. There's only going to be 2 at most entering the next Congress of the 10. The rest either retired because they could not have won re-election in their primaries, or they just lost their primaries in embarrassing fashion. But in terms of the Senate is a little bit more swampy. We know that, but, there were not exactly any senators that were up for re-election this cycle that voted to impeach, except Lisa Murkowski, who is banking on the new wacky system up in Alaska and Democrat voters to really bail her out at the end of the day. But even then, she might lose. And this is very telling. And there were 7 Republicans to impeach. And there probably would have been a lot more if there were not any consequences. You could bet that a lot more than 7 would have voted to impeach if none of them were really running for re-election. And this is true. And Trump would have likely been convicted if that was the case. But because the base is still with Trump, and that a lot of these senators knew that their career would be on the lines, a lot of the senators who did vote to impeach are up in either 2024, like Mitt Romney, or 2026, like Ben Sasse, who probably should have been primaried out in the 2020 election. So there were 7 senators. Richard Burr, he already retired. He's very corrupt. He's a neocon, career neocon. He's out the door. Bill Cassidy, who might actually want to run for governor of Louisiana next year, which will be pretty funny to see him lose that primary. and he will likely lose a primary in 2026 or something. He's just banking on voters forgetting about it, or he'll just step down. And then you have Susan Collins, who's up in Maine. Again, Maine is a state that's like D+9 or whatever. Her vote was not exactly that surprising. And then you have Lisa Murkowski, again, knowing her vote was not exactly that surprising, and the new voting system will likely bail her out. But even then she might lose, depending on what line of polling tends to be correct in the general election. But if the primary was any indication, she's not really in bad shape. Then you have Mitt Romney, and this will be a top target to take out in 2024 in the primaries. Hopefully we can get it done. I know Utah is a little wacky in terms of their, primary electorate. You never know which way the Mormons are going to vote, but he didn't even do that well in 2018 with Trump's endorsement. If he faces any serious opposition next time around, he probably will lose a primary, even if it's closer than it really should be because it's Utah. Then you have Ben Sasse, who we already have talked about and we'll talk a little bit more about. Then you have Pat Toomey, Pat Toomey, as we know, on his way out, he's going to retire at the end of this Congress, and he's likely going to be replaced with Dr. Oz, which is very interesting there. So you look at the Impeachment Seven, and you see the fact that you have how many of them left? Mitt Romney, Murkowski, and Collins and Cassidy. You have 4 of them left. Who will likely either be losing a 2024 primary, losing a 2026 primary, or in the case of Murkowski and Collins, they'll just be those career RINOs until they decide to retire, or in Collins's case, lose to a Democrat. So that's really it for the impeachment senators. They are dropping like flies. They drop like flies in the House, and they're dropping like flies in the Senate. And you talk about Ben Sasse, how awful was his record? Truly, he was just a virtue signaler his whole entire career. I'm not even going to go through all this. You guys can look at the Wikipedia article under the Donald Trump section, but just pretty much every single thing that Trump would do, he would say something that was contradictory. He would just attack him for basically nothing, honestly. He would attack him over the most inconsequential things, and when he would attack him, he'd attack him from the CNN perspective. He'd attack him from a neocon perspective. He is a CNN Republican. He has their moral framework. He operates within it, and it shows. And he was somebody that, congratulated Biden like the day after CNN called Pennsylvania for him. He is somebody who went out of his way to impeach Trump. He's somebody who didn't support Trump in the 2016 general election. It was pulling teeth to get him to vote for a lot of Trump's cabinet appointees and his justices, and he's out of the way now. He's out of the way, which is very, very good news. Who is he going to be replaced with exactly? I don't know. It's probably going to be a more standard Republican, but it's probably not going to be Don Bacon. Don Bacon would be Ben Sasse 2.0. Don Bacon is somebody that has voted consistently with Biden a decent portion of the time, passing through a lot of his infrastructure bills, etc. And he represents a district that voted for Biden by roughly 6 points or so. And Sasse voted for a lot of Biden's spending bills as well. He's voted for a lot of the legislation, the so-called infrastructure bill that was not really an infrastructure bill. I believe he voted for that as well, and we know that. But beyond that point, it seems as if Sasse is not going to be replaced with Bacon because of the fact that Bacon is in a lean blue district, and the fact that he probably would lose a primary for the special election, which will be taking place during the 2024 election. Whoever is appointed in 2023 is probably going to stay there until the 2024 election is over, so do keep that in mind. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see who gets appointed after Sasse. It very well could be Ricketts. Could Ricketts get appointed by the new governor? That's a whole nother question. Could he get appointed by Pillen? We'll just have to really wait and see. I don't know who the appointee is going to be, but either way, they're going to be better than Ben Sasse, who, again, you look at it, it's literally beyond parody. His bio on Twitter is virtue signaling against Russia. That's what he's doing. He's a shill for Ukraine. All he cares about is Ukraine, 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 Ukraine. It's not exactly about America for him, and it shows. He's not America first. He's one of the furthest thing from. On foreign policy, on immigration as well, he has a B from Numbers USA, and he's in Nebraska, which is an R+20 state. There's no excuse for having a B. In some congresses, he's actually had a C by the way. He's given soft support for amnesty over his career. But beyond that point, he is gone. He's going to resign. He's going to the University of Florida. He's going to lead the Gators. I'll be praying for the University of Florida. They're going to have some very awful leadership. I can guarantee you that. Just like Sasse was a very ineffective legislator, he's probably going to be an awful president for the University of Florida. But either way, at least he's out of the picture for the rest of the country, for the rest of us. He's out of the picture. He's not going to be in the Senate anymore. And that's another RINO down. And it just shows how the Republican Party is transforming. It's not exactly happening overnight. It's not going to happen overnight, but still, they are slowly dropping like flies. And then we're on to the next one. We're on to Romney in 2024. We are on to Cassidy in 2026 in the Senate. And there's plenty more. Obviously, just the 7 who voted to impeach are not the only RINOs in the Senate. They might be some of the more egregious ones. But the rest of them are either going to fall in line with our agenda, with the America First agenda, or they are going to be primaried out by the end of the decade, plain and simple. We don't have that much time to save this country. But the chances that we have to save this country definitely go up when you have somebody like Ben Sasse out of the way, somebody who claims to be a Republican but stands in the way of the America First agenda at literally every single possible turn. So this is huge. This is a virtual Republican flip in the state of Nebraska. Ben Sasse is out of the way. We'll see who replaces him. Definitely not going to be Don Bacon, which is a very good thing. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.